This is the Moral Rants podcast with Matt Lamont and Andrew Dees, episode number 7, released Friday the 11th of June 2021. And it's another week, so you can what's going to happen on the Friday morning. You get another episode of Moron Rants. It's me again. If you've decided to listen, then you should have expected that, to be fair. And joining me as always is Mr. Andrew Dees. Evening.
Hello.
Yep, I say it in the morning because that's when we put this podcast out, but inevitably when we record it is a random day, but it's always at night.
It's
So
nearly morning, to be fair.
Very, very true. But this week we've managed to actually record 2 in one go because somebody didn't go to their bed midway through the day and fall asleep and have a nap. Me.
Just in case if you're watching the video and you think they're wearing the same clothes again for that last week.
Aye. It's no that we're manky, filthy bastards and wear the same clothes for 7 days. Or I suppose we could, in fact, we could have went and washed it and then worn it again. But anyway, it's because we're the magic of video and audio production. We try our best to record 2 in a week so we can get some lead time ahead to make sure that if one of us dies in a car crash, that we can still provide you entertaining content every week for the foreseeable future.
That's a cheery thought. I was thinking maybe we're maybe busy working or something, but no, one of us had bumped off in a car crash now. Cheers.
Well, with my miles a day, I suppose it's more likely for me. No. But then it doesn't have to be a car crash that you're in the car. It might be a car that's crashed and then topples over and lands on your head. You don't know. You could be walking to the bus stop.
To go where?
It's very true. Very true. Okay, you could be walking to the co-op.
Aye, fair enough.
Ah, dear. Well, as always, we're here. We're insightful news and I suppose unusual, unique take on things. Again, on this Friday morning for you. I suppose you did actually have to listen to this on Friday. We post it on Friday, but you might be listening to this on Tuesday.
It's a free country, Mark.
Aye, true. That is the beauty of podcasts, I suppose. You can listen at your own leisure. Well, that's enough pish for me anyway for the start of this episode.
Says that you wrap them up already.
Oh dear, you can tell that it's been a long day, and I've refueled on biscuits. After we finished recording the first podcast, we took a 10-minute breather. Dees went and ate a salad and something healthy, and I went and ate biscuits.
Back off.
Did you eat your dairy milk that you had?
I've still got some of it left.
Oh,
3 squares left.
You've made a start to it. Oh, see.
I've got. So you only get 6 squares on a dairy milk car. Mind the days you used to get 7.
God, I mind the days. Mind when you got a Freddo for 10 pence.
Get strawberry Freddos now, apparently.
Better than be fucking 10 pence, so will they?
No, there's a Freddo 25p now or something these days.
If you're putting a strawberry in it, it'll be £4.40.
What I always find the funny thing is, obviously it's a generational thing, but I still like to refer to like Space Raiders as 10p Chris. I think they've been 10 pence for
oh no,
God knows how long. But aye,
no,
10p
you're right.
crisps.
Aye, no, but if you talk to anybody our age and you go 10p crisp, they'll think you're like, aye, Space Raiders, and then what were the other ones?
Bikers.
Aye, there was like chipsticks, that type of thing as well.
But anywho.
I know that's gone down memory lane. I mind you being at fucking the primary scale discos or whatever, and you got 50p, you went away and you got a wee pick and mix in a packet of Space Raiders.
And you got change.
Aye. And that was you set for the night on 50 pence. You were golden. But Christ, now you go to 50 pence, you can't get a tin of juice for 50 pence. That's always used to be the tinny machine. You got a 50p, that was your 50p, put in the machine, and you got your tin out. Right, you go into a shop for a tin of juice now, it's like £1.10 or something for a tin of juice. You buy a fucking 2-litre bottle for that.
Or more.
Exactly. If it's got fucking, some of them you see bars 49 pence on it, and then the shop price under it's 75 pence. Like, it says 50 pence on the fucking tin, but I've just 70 Jansen bastards.
Show you the age. I remember when the bars tins came with 29 pence.
No. This is just off the top of our heads, by the way. We do have show notes that we planned on talking about, but there's none of this was
You
This is a showing of rage.
as you say, a bar's tinny juice 29p, your 10p packet of crisps, and your 10p picking mix plus a penny change.
You
That
were
was you set.
set. Absolutely. You used to get the, oh Christ, what were the sour strip things? They used to be 5p a
Oh,
strip.
aye, fizzy belts I used to call them.
Aye, they were cracking.
Actually,
That's a good strip.
on a side note to this is obviously, as you say, nothing that we plan talking about. Back I was remember it must have been lit primary school, primary six, primary seven. So I went and got like, but I had like a pound, but I got a pound worth of fizzy belts. So as you say, they were like 5p, so I got 20 of them, and I ate all 20. And would you believe it? I ended up being sick that day. It just this. I think it was. I think I had the 10 of the apple ones, which were green, and 10 of the strawberry ones, which were red. And it was just literally that. It just all came back up.
Oh god! Right, so now that all our listeners have turned off for hearing that.
I would say that could be a
Oh
moron of the
dear.
week nomination there for me eating all that, but I was only about maybe 10 at the time. And plus, I do think
Oh.
me or you could be nominated for moron of the week because that would just be every week.
Well, I mean, that's just a standing thing, to be honest, at this point. Anybody that listens to this. Oh no, God, I mind the good old days. That was some time. You used to get we're going down a hole now, but you mind you used to get, you wouldn't get away with selling them these days, but it was like cigarette candy stick things. They weren't cigarettes, they were
Aye, aye.
obviously they were thing
I
with
knew,
like
knew, knew,
some.
knew they're trying to deal with tobacco altogether.
I know, Christ. I knew the sweetie would hate to be a vape thing or something. Oh, here's a fucking vape stick.
But if you
God.
want, I've got a wee link for to get us back on track to what we're talking about there. Can we talk about remembering the good old days? Remembering the good old days, because we have been asked. I would say this before we start. We've been asked to discuss this topic because it was a few weeks ago by the time you're listening to this now. But do you remember the good old days when the UK used to win Eurovision?
Oh god, that's before my time. You're going back to
Nin-
the 60s,
1997, the last time we won it, Katrina and the Waves.
Was it really? Oh, I didn't ken that. I thought we were back in the 60s with ABBA.
Well, they were right. Oh Jesus, one they weren't in the 60s, and ABBA represented Sweden.
Oh, did they? I thought they were ours.
But why? Why did you think ABBA, that traditional Swedish band? Why did you think they represented the UK?
Well, so I didn't care anything about music. I was third ABBA and Eurovision, and then I thought they were for the 60s. I thought they were the UK Eurovision. I thought that's the last time we won Eurovision with ABBA. Apparently, it wasn't the 60s, and it was the even ours. So
Well,
it
when
shows you what I care about music.
when ABBA won Eurovision was 1974, but funnily enough, it was about Waterloo, which was a famous battle that the UK won. So I'm trying to some way explain your insanity, but
No, there is no explanation for my sanity, I'm afraid. But you're right, we were asked to talk about this. In fact, to be fair, before Eurovision, the 2021 Eurovision contest was like live, we did discuss it and we did plan to do a special on the show, like a whole episode talking about it. But in all fairness, I definitely didn't watch it live. Do you watch parts of it live? I think, but you didn't watch the whole thing.
aye, I seen bits of it.
Um, and so they would just kind of kibosh that idea, but then we had a comment on one of the Facebook videos ask us to talk about Eurovision. So in true sensible form, Dees has went back and watched the Eurovision 2021. I have done nothing of the sort. In fact, even in our
I
internal
sent
show
you
notes for this,
pictures of some of the stuff.
you did. But in our internal show notes, the discussion topic for the Eurovision in the notes for today's podcast, my bit on Eurovision just says, talk about Eurovision, completely disregard research, and expect these to do the rest. So this is the level of knowledge I'm coming into this podcast just to set your expectations for this discussion on Eurovision 2021. So the main content is going to be coming for these because I've only seen clips he's sent me, and the clips that I've seen seem a bit fucking ridiculous.
Well, it's Eurovision.
Yeah.
What were you expecting?
True. I mean, I only used to ever watch Eurovision for Terry Wogan's commentary. I'm not going to lie, but I have
Aye,
since been
that's
told that. Graham Norton's quite funny, but I haven't paid attention.
That was what that was the only time I used to kin every year. Like, the show used to start at 8, so I would skip all the music because about the first 2 hours was the music, and then
Aye,
it
who
would
cares about
and then there would be that 15-minute spell, say when they had all the voting opened up, and you kin at about 10:15 to turn it around to get the points, and it was just great. See if you're like if you could guess, oh, it's Cyprus. I wonder if they'll give 12 points to Greece, and 12 points goes to Greece. Oh, what a surprise! All the other countries near Russia gained them 12 points because they didn't want Russia stopping their oil.
that? But he also had like funny content where he'd just talk about what they were wearing, or he'd talk about the expression, or
Aye,
Terry Wogan was
and
brilliant. He'd just come out with some cracking one-liners.
don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say Graham Norton's a Terry Wogan, and I don't even think yourself would say that, but Norton is quite good with some of the stuff he comes out with as well.
Uh, Well, talk me through it. So we obviously finished on no points. That is no surprise after we've pissed off Europe with Brexit and everything. He haw
Nil
fucking
Points.
points for us. Aye, bugger all. Not even a sausage, not a sausage, not a fucking Scooby, not a thing. Again, not to be surprised with that. To be fair, um, but we were the only people to end with hee haw points. There was some other crackers that probably should have, but
Aye, we were, in fairness, in the public vote, 'cause obviously that was one of the changes they brought in a few years ago, was that it's not just, it used to all just be the one vote, but now there's a jury vote, which is half it, and then there's a public vote, which is the other half. In the public vote, we were the only ones to get nil points for the public. I think Germany, Spain, and Holland all got zero as well. But we were the only ones to get zero for the juries, which really kind of annoyed me because if you've looked at Germany's song, dear God, why they got 3 points for the juries, I reckon what they were smoking at the time. But and I have to, I'll be honest, when I actually at the time I was quite enraged at the time because I had a bet on the UK to finish above Germany because I seen Germany's song beforehand and thought, Jesus, how's that got to get any points? And I was near enough about right. And our song sounded not too bad, but when I watched it back, I didn't think James Newman's performance was that great. The vocals could have been better, but still saying that, I do think he was the one deserving to finish on nil points. He would have been. He was in no way go win it, but he didn't deserve to be last. Um, so we could talk about the factors as to why we've maybe finished last, but that's the last twice now we've finished bottom. Michael Rice finished, obviously it was 2019 the last time. He finished bottom with 11 points in 2019.
I think it's. I mean, there's no hiding the fact that Eurovision's very political. It always has been, and in the political climate that we've put ourselves in, or that the UK government, sorry, has put us in, we leave in Europe. We've pissed a lot of people off in Europe. So, I mean, I suppose a bit. I can get the point you're putting across that the judges are no. They're supposed to be impartial. They're not supposed to be political, but clearly, there is definitely some politics involved in it all the way through it. So I kind of think that we're surprised that we got no points, especially this was obviously the first year of us being out completely. Um, at this point, does anybody care? Like, do we continue sending people, or what happens with that? I mean, are we just calling it a day? Really? Is it time?
Well, there's obviously you could just stop it. One of the things that because a lot of people now get there's obviously this thing about the UK. Are you was this bad in Eurovision now? As I say, when I started this, there was a time where the UK done pretty well in Eurovision. In fact, I think we've won it 5 times, um, and we've been runners up countless amount of times. And we've had loads of top three finishes before. But the thing seems to be it was 2003 with Gemini was the very first time we ever finished last, and they at the time had nil points, which was quite a shock. And obviously, they felt sorry for them. They probably feel a wee bit better about themselves now, considering that there's another four folk since that have finished last. And obviously, James Newman, that's only the second time we've ever finished with zero. But I do kind of maybe overreact because there's a lot of other countries that have. This is, I say, that's the fifth time. two consecutive years we've finished last, but there's other nations that have had like 8 and 9 times they've finished last and barely ever won it, where we're still sitting joint third for the missed ever wins in Eurovision. So
That's a fair point. I suppose then maybe no for leaving it, but then does it really matter? Like, does anybody really bother? I mean, we didn't obviously bother enough that we're not sending our biggest talent. I mean, could we consider? I'd never even heard of him before, but could we consider him our biggest talent? Surely the UK's got somebody worthy
well,
of sending.
the thing kind of used to be that it was can you would maybe it wouldn't be actual big talents, but you'd maybe send up and coming people. But then obviously there's like Bonnie Tyler was in 2013 for us. With the year before that, Engelbert Humperdinck. he was
God.
he got 12 points. He finished second last, I think, that year. And I remember the year before that because it's the well, it's 2011 Blue went and we finished 11th. Jade Ewan was in 2009. That was the last time that we finished fifth in 2009. That you could say we had a proper, yeah, I say a top 10 finish. That was the last time we had a top 10 finish. Yeah.
We have taken some decent runs at it. Just on the other bit, I suppose Germany second last on this song was garbage. I mean, you've played it for me through this, and it was hopeless, which is quite surprising because I mean, I didn't know. I can't remember the last one I watched, to be honest. But the last one I watched, I remember them being like between them and somebody else for winning it. Like odds were on Germany, so they must certainly seem to have a good track record as well. To
I
suddenly
was going
drop.
to say that must have been a while. Must have been a while ago. You've watched that. They did win it in 2010, but Germany's only ever won it twice. See, this is the kind of thing I'm kind of talking about. We're going, oh, okay, we've finished last 5 times now, but we've also won it 5 times and only had 0 points twice. Where the Germans have only ever won it twice, finished last 7 times, and have had nil points 3 times. So can you kind of compare that? And the Germans were last, I think, 2015, 2016. But it was 2010 the Germans had the winner. They did finish fourth.
That's what it is. Then, 'cause the last one I watched must have been 2011 because I watched it when it was in Germany. So it would have been 2011 I watched it, and they were good odds on them. That shows you how long it has been since I have watched Eurovision. It's been 10 years.
But then you get, you're talking about big names, like you remember Cascada?
Oh, aye.
She represented Germany in 2013 with her song Glorious.
I
She
was going to say
finished
surely she couldn't represent us.
she finished 21st with 18 points.
Oh, I see. I would have expected her to be higher up the charts.
Uh,
But then I suppose it's one of the music tastes that's no for everybody, which is the kind of thing for Eurovision is that the sort of music. Certainly, the last one I remember watching, there's some taste for everybody, and then you just get some shite. You're like, who's what listening to this
well,
garbage?
the thing that was obviously the winner this year was a rock band that won it for Italy, which is kind of a wee bit different. Obviously, you go back to like 2006 with Lordi with the heavy metal. They kind of you mind of that for Finland. They were all dressed up in like a demon outfits and all that, and they won it back in 2006. Uh, but obviously, it's because you do get that. Eurovision did kind of that was one of the surprise things with. I think it was maybe I try to remember now. Loreen won it, I think, for Sweden in 2012, which was a sort of similar style of music as what Cascada was. So they kind of that was just a reaction to that. That well, we've already can this won it last year essentially. We'll
Time
no
for a
vote for that
change.
thing. But one of the interesting things I was reading about this, it was a news article on about Eurovision. In 2004 was when they done this split thing. It was originally the Big Four and then became the Big Five. And what that is the Big Four is the UK, Germany, France, and Spain, I think. And then Italy made it the Big Five in 2011. They get automatically into it because obviously the amount of funding that they put into it. So they didn't need to go through
Right.
qualifiers or that. And the amount of times that they've obviously you've got the mix of this year. It was Italy that won it, so they are a big five, and France finished second. So that's two of the big five finished 1 and 2. So it's no an exact science, but then you look at the other three finished the bottom three, and it seems to be that a lot of them haven't done that well in recent years. So is it a reaction for folk that unless folk think the song's really great, they just kind of sort of bum out and didn't get as much points as maybe either they should, or I don't know what your thoughts are on
It
that.
also depends on who's watching it as well. Because I mean, I don't know who your target audience for this is. I mean, is it
Well,
older folk or is it folk? I'm saying younger folk as us, but we're at the stage where we're no younger. What's your demographic? Is it your uni students? Your because who's watching it would be my question. Because I always remember watching it when I was a bairn with my parents, and
aye,
how I remember it. And as I say, I watched it in 2011, but I drifted away from it. I've no generally watched it in between that.
I think there's been a lot. Kind the music's kind of, as I say, went with the genre at the times, but I think Eurovision attracts a really probably quite a varied audience. But the one thing I did like, obviously, we were talking about, where the UK should still be in it. No, the UK's actually got one of the highest viewer ratings for it.
Oh, really?
7.4 million people in the UK apparently tuned in on Saturday night to watch it.
That's unexpected. I wouldn't have put the figure. I wouldn't have
And
estimated anywhere near that. That's good.
given that the Italians were the bookies' favourites to win it and end up going out and win it, there was only something like about maybe 4 or 5 million of them watched it. And I think they've got a higher population than us as well. So can um, your percentage of the population is obviously higher. I think the only country that had more actual number of viewers than us was Germany, but Germany's also got about, I think they had 300,000 more viewers, but they've got a population of about 20 million more. So
Aye. That's surprising. I suppose it's maybe that wee bit of nostalgia for people as well. It is
I
for
remember
me
the good old
anyway.
days.
Aye, it is a wee bit like that. I mind when certainly no one, well, back in the 2010 or 2011 era, where we would be like, we'll go one year, we'll see. And I think it was going to be in Azerbaijan or something. We're like, we will go there, and
Aye,
it would never come to it.
that was 2011 Azerbaijan one, so it was 2012 that we talked about that. And I think that's 2012 was that year that Loreen won it.
Mhm. It's one of the things that if I had, I think, what did I have the day off at work? I can't remember. I can't remember what I did, but I ended up not watching it. It's no something. It's don't get me right. It's no line of duty. It's no anything where I plan my calendar like I need to watch that. And again, like you were saying before, I'd probably if I was going to tune in, it would be to the results and the commentary, the actual songs, especially some of the fucking foreign ones I can't understand. I just have no the art side
Well,
would seem to be a wee bit over the top as well. It's not just a song, but it's a massive performance of fucking fireworks and let's all dress up like dicks, and I've no patience for that.
there's you obviously still get the ones like I showed you. The thing I found funny about the obviously the German one was that the German song was essentially, I think it was, we were talking about Graham Norton. Graham Norton had introduced it with the phrase, and I thought this was quite good, but because as I say, I viewed this song beforehand and thought it was a lot of shit. But Graham Norton introduced it as Marmite. If everybody hated Marmite,
And
uh,
and having since heard the song for you sending me it, I concur 100%. Utter bollocks, no for me.
because it was basically it's a song like you would sing in a like a Bairns TV show. I don't feel hate, but they had a lassie sort of parading about in a styrofoam hand, giving the peace sign. And the thing I found funny about that was the song that was right at the back of the Bear. As I say, this is like a sort of Bairns song with all this. Can these folk dancing about and him in his stupid wee pink suit with a wee like banjo type thing and then the song at the very next to back that was the heavy metal finish, sort of heavy metal rock band, which started with a line "Put your middle fingers up in the air," which I thought was a great thing. Obviously, I couldn't wouldn't be allowed to due to COVID, but if the lassie in the styrofoam hand had just sort of changed the fingers about and came back out with them, just with a middle finger up.
Oh dear. I don't even think that's just due to COVID. I'm pretty sure they would have put some fucking restrictions on doing that just in general. Could you imagine
Aye.
somebody gate crashing your thing coming out of middle finger?
Well, I remember it was
Oh
only a couple
dear.
of years ago when that Suri was representing the UK that the guy stormed the stage while she was singing to for a protest. Ended up taking the mic off her. She done really well actually. Continue on with that performance. That maybe got her up
And
from last to second last or third last.
I'd be there with a baseball bat like, you're wanting this mic for me, son, you better fucking come and try, pal. I'll fucking boot you on the head. Oh, dear me. Oh.
One of the obviously the talking points that came out this year, obviously Italy won it, and the song was in Italian. But I hate it, when I had a look before, and I actually put a bet on Italy to win it because I felt that they were. I looked at who the bookies had as the favourites, but the thing I did find interesting was I looked at the bookies odds, and the top 7 nations that they had for the favourites all finished in the top 7 this year. Obviously, no in the exact same
Mm.
order as they had it, but
No.
it just goes to show the bookies are never far wrong. Um, but
Uh,
I think the Italian song was a worthy winner. The French and the Swiss songs were probably the next 2 best at the back of that, but and that was obviously your 1, 2, 3. But apparently the Icelandic guy, because obviously this was meant to be in 2020, but got postponed due to COVID. Uh, I couldn't even tell you what Iceland's song was last year because that was one of the things that if they were re-entering, they had to bring in a new song.
all right.
Because obviously the songs that they kind of had were already released back in 2012, Jesus, back in 2020 before it got cancelled. So it was kind of that thing of, well, they've been around for a year now, we want it, can they be fresh songs? But the Icelandic Boys song, or their band, that kind of went viral and was apparently a really big hit, and nobody reckoned that they would have won it. So they probably got screwed out of the win due to COVID last year, and it came to this one, and he also tested. I think they tested positive for COVID, so they were the only one that couldn't perform on the day. They had to show.
Oh,
They showed their rehearsal, so they've been really screwed out of Eurovision with COVID.
well, it just wasn't meant to be. Obviously, there was so whoever somebody up there was against him fucking getting on and winning. That's for sure. But I don't know. I didn't really have any more take on Eurovision, to be honest. I'm sort of meh. I'll watch it if it's on, but I'm no particularly fussy. I think it's one of them where if it's won by somebody like Italy and you want a trip to Italy, it's a good reason to say to the missus, "Oh, we'll all go together next year. We'll go to Eurovision and then get a trip to Italy." I don't know. It's just a wee hint there, just a wee idea. Thought for next year.
It's like you asked me if I want to go to Italy for Eurovision.
We'll see if we can get a tour of us if we fancy Italy next year. We'll swing it. We try to because if I come out to Terry and say, "Oh, I fancy going to Italy next year," she'll be like, "What the fuck you want to go there for? That'd be ridiculous. There's no reason to go to Italy." But
To be
if we
fair,
say,
actually, I would imagine that being the other way about. I could imagine Terry preferring to go to Italy, and you'd be like, "What the fuck am I want to go there for?"
you might be right on the money, actually. There, you might be right on the money. But that's a way to swing it. She could do the argument to me. I mean, uh, it's just the logic in my head. Justify. You hate to
Well,
justify it.
what we could even do is we could offer to represent the UK at the next Eurovision.
God help us all.
Well, one thing I could guarantee we can't do as worse as we've done this year.
No, I think we could do as worse. We just couldn't do worse. We could do just as bad.
I reckon. I think if we just went in, if we went there bold and brave with a song called "Fuck Europe,"
you think somebody would accept? Oh God.
I reckon somebody would
Well,
go, "Kimwa, it was shit, but you said Bosley in that, so here's a point."
1 point, just beat last year. God, could you imagine if we won it with that?
No,
That would be
well, no.
impressive. No, you're not buying that. No, you're
No,
buying the one
well,
point.
we would have to. Mind you, I suppose we've got a year to work on the song. We could maybe make it
Oh,
winnable.
exactly.
We'd maybe add more lyrics and just "Fuck Europe."
Well,
But
even I think for the 1 point, we'd probably hate to had more lyrics than just that.
we could, obviously being in Italy, we could just start singing "We're going to deep fry your pizza," and we could, in Eurovision style, we could, folk, we could see with Daniel
Dressed
and
as deep fat fryers, aye.
no, I was going to say dressed as slices of pizza, but we
Oh
could,
no, I want a deep fat fryer.
yeah, you could have a deep fat fryer and a slice of pizza. I was Because it was
No.
with Daniel on the show before. Daniel could be one of the um, guys in the costume.
There we go. There we go. There's a call out to Daniel. If we get put into Eurovision for 2022,
Will you
we're
be your slice
expecting
of
you to
pizza?
we're expecting you to dress up as a slice of pizza. Oh god. What fucking chain of events leads to that happening? I don't know, and I don't want to know that. That is a
No.
scary world. That is a scary world.
One of the other things, you remember Flow Rider?
Oh, vaguely.
He ended up as part of the San Marino song. I've no idea how that came about. But he was on stage singing for San Marino.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it now, if I'm honest with you. Hearing about it and seeing the videos, the clips that you've sent me, it seems like 2 or 3 years of my life that I would never have got back.
But you probably just spent that time sleeping anyway, so.
Well, exactly. It's given me enough sleep that I've been able to turn up to this recording on time. Oh dear. I think it's
But,
time to move it along.
I was going to say, to sum up, obviously folk talk about pulling it, but at the end of the day, it's a laugh at the end of the day, I suppose. It gives us
It
something
keeps
to
Graham
rage.
Norton in a job.
But he's got his own show, to be fair, Mark. Uh, he, it gives us something to moan about every year. Well, here we go. We're gonna get Nul Points again.
Mhm.
Might
I
show
suppose if
ourselves.
nothing
Might get.
else, it gives us something to moan about on More on Rants.
Aye. They maybe send Ed Sheeran next year with his Ginger Asshole on the Hill song.
No, that I would pay money to see. Ginger asshole on the hill. 100% that is Eurovision 2022. Oh, God. We have descended into chaos. We're half an hour into the podcast and we have descended into chaos.
Well, we'll end that on the Eurovision talk then.
I think it's time to swiftly move this along. Oh, dear. Press the button for that. What are we moving along to? What is our next opportunity or next topic? I can't even think straight anymore. My head's mush for thinking about fucking Ed Sheeran asshole in the hill. Oh god.
Um, now I'll raise a story for you then.
Okay.
Uh, did you see your Scottish Green MSPs were in a bar drinking, breaching COVID
Is
rules?
this? Oh, thought I was waiting on the link. Speaking about arseholes, we've got. We're talking
Well,
about the Greens. No, I'm not against the Greens. I should say. I didn't
you
agree
just
with
called
them,
them
but
you just called them arseholes, Mark. So. But
well, anything for a
we had
pun.
Lorna Slater, Patrick Havry, and Ross Greer, and some other guy all in a bar drinking together. For all of them for
So
different households.
it's not even just the Greens. It's the high profile Greens,
Aye.
if there is such a thing.
To be fair, there's no really much to this story. They essentially went to the pub and had a drink. Obviously, with the fact that there was four of them for four different households, and you're only allowed to meet up indoors in a group of max of six for a max of three households. So obviously, it was breaking the rules. So they got kind of pulled up, and they've obviously forced to apologise for it. Oh, it's a mistake on our part.
Well, this is like the serving police officer we talked about before that ends up in a protest. It's just like these people that are in high or no high profile, but they're in the public eye roles. Let's take a bit of a thought. Well, I don't know.
The thing is, they're bound to have kent that, obviously, because there was one of the other things that was mentioned about, because obviously I just mentioned there about the fact, obviously, the actual limits at work, because they were in Edinburgh, but obviously, because like Patrick Harvey stays in Glasgow, because that's obviously the area he represents,
Yeah.
that they're allowed to leave, obviously, the current restrictions that were in place at the time, because this will probably will have changed by the time you're listening to this. The current restrictions that were in place at the time were that you could only travel through that area for work purposes, which I think there probably was a work reason. But they think you weren't allowed to go. You're not meant to be going into hospitality sectors. It's just purely for work reasons. So the fact that he even entered in there in the first
Work.
place
Uh,
was a probably a breach in itself.
well, it's just one of these things where if you're in the public eye and the press, if the press have got a reason to crucify you, they will. So just didn't give them ammo. You just gain them ammo.
It's even that it's a political merry-go-round that you get with this as well because there's photos jump on the greens, but and the greens are going, they'll kind of play it down and they'll go, like, all right, we're sorry, we didn't mean to do that, and it's a mistake, blah blah blah, and that it shouldn't be put out of context. But then if you think of it, say it was four Tory MSPs, the Greens would be going, oh, this is absolutely wrong, blah blah blah, getting the usual
Oh, of
crap that you
course.
get with the basically the basic standard in politics.
Aye, it plays on your agenda. The statistics or whatever story is aimed, your opinion is formed based on what your agenda is. Absolutely. Aye, I mean, just while you bring up the Greens, so it was in the news also that the SNP and the Greens have confirmed. Now, this is the big news for them. Confirmed that they're in talks to a formal coalition. No, that they're doing it, but just they're in talks. So to me, at this point, it's
So,
no really
aye, hold
news
on.
either.
No, because what I was just going to add to that is technically now me and you could confirm that we're in talks to run for Eurovision next year. So that's how
Exactly.
newsworthy that is.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's no newsworthy. This one actually comes from the STV, so it's no the Mirror or the Daily Mail. So you'd expect a wee bit more, but I suppose they've got to report it. It's one of these things with politics that if they didn't report it, then later on somebody will go. If the talks do lead to a coalition, then they'll be like, "Oh well, he's missed the story about the talks with that." So it's covering their ass sort of thing, but. I suppose it's interesting. I mean, for reading the article, the Nicola Sturgeon and Patrick Harvey, or I'm sure it was Patrick Harvey, the talks that both parties have to be dynamic and to go out their comfort zone. Now, I'm thinking here, right, the SNP have got this many seats and the Greens have got this tiny amount of seats. It's not going to be a 50-50 relationship split there. Um, so I don't know how much clout the Greens have really got in these talks. Um, but we'll see what happens. At this point, we can confirm, as of recording, there is no coalition. I don't think there will be, to be honest. I think this has been picked up by the news and whatever, but I don't see it.
It's as you say, it's interesting because we had when we discussed that in the previous pod about obviously both of us kind of went with it'll be the usual standard type thing that the Vive has done with can the Greens will back them on the vote, but there's no actual agreement on it and stuff like that. So it's interesting that they're maybe going down a route or maybe looking into a coalition this time around and seeing what the Greens. But I do wonder if that's maybe more to do with they've got can the oh I forgot the name of it now. This is where you should research stuff beforehand, Mark. The
No, we can't do that on this show. Not on this show, sir.
uh, kind of in the big meeting in Glasgow at the end of this year, I think, for the climate change convention or whatever it is at the end of
Oh,
this
right.
year. So I
Yes.
wonder if that's their one of their ploys for that. This will make us look good for the climate change thing if I've got a coalition with the Greens.
Aye, we're in partnership. We're a progressive government, and I can already read the fucking headline now or the fucking PR pitch that'll come out. We are a progressive government in partnership, a coalition with the Greens. We are the future of fucking sustainable pish. Whatever it becomes, that'll be the headline. That'll be the PR spin on the bollocks to get people to go. Well, we're reducing plastic by killing seals or whatever it is. I don't know. We're reducing plastic by using more cardboard.
Where are you going with that? Instead of having plastic bottles, we're just drinking juice out of seals now, aye.
I don't know. Instead of plastic bags, you just fucking put it in a seal and club it to death to get it back out. I don't know. We
There
have
we
to
go.
send
That's
it. They send it into chaos.
I could see you going seal clubbing right enough.
You certainly wouldn't get one of them at Aldi for 20 pence, that is for sure. Not a seal at 20 pence, it costs you a fortune. But you'd be certainly trying to reuse it, I suppose.
Deary me.
Aye, I know. We started this topic talking about the Greens and then got to seal clubbing very quickly.
Aye, that escalated very quickly.
I think the morons in this story is us, as usual, as it often is.
Well, yeah. I've not even got anything to link us back with talking about seal clubbing. That's aired the line,
Well,
Mark.
seal clubbing can be an expensive hobby. Other expensive things include.
How do you conceal clubbing's expensive?
Well, I can't imagine it's cheap to get a seal. They're no like you can't just go down to the pet shop and get a wee hamster and then buy a seal. You've got to like go to Antarctica.
Aye, but in fairness, well, you didn't need to go to Antarctica. There are seals about, but you, aye, all you're needing's a hammer essentially. Whack! There you go. I've clubbed a seal.
But it's not so much about the equipment costing you; it's your time and effort to find a seal. Like, you can't just go down Leaving Beach and cut about and there'll be a couple of seals there. You've got to spend the effort and the money and go fly somewhere where you can see
can
loads of seals.
lay some like seal alcapops out for them to be drawn in.
Jesus Christ! Oh,
Anyway,
right.
speaking of expensive things, as you were saying,
Yes. Oh, aye, my story. That's where I was. I can't why I was leading it on for you when I've got a story about things that are expensive. So, Kim, what's expensive? A brand new ferry.
wait, hold on,
Um,
I'm going to put you up on this. So your point, talking about seals, bear in mind that seals live in the water and boats are in the water. Your link was seal clubbing might be expensive.
no, might be. Seal clubbing is expensive. I maintain that today a proper session of seal clubbing
Well,
is
and
an
what
expensive
would you
hobby.
maybe need for a proper session of seal clubbing? You'd maybe need a boat to go and look at the seals.
A wee dinghy. Do you know what dinghy doing the Kelvin? I don't know.
I'll club in and get you a telly.
I'm needing a club, no a telly.
I'll club in and get you a club.
Oh. Stop
You're
it.
not having a breakdown, here.
Oh, I think that breakdown has fast surpassed me about 45 minutes ago.
Right, what are you saying about ferries?
I genuinely at this point, not a clue. Not the fucking Scooby. Calmac, right? So Calmac have loads of ferries, right? Calmac. This is non-seal related. This is an entirely separate story. Calmac have loads of ferries. Well, in theory, they've got loads of ferries. It's part of the issue. So their newest ferry, the HMS, whatever. It's not the HMS either. I can't remember what it's called. 2 seconds. I'll tell you what it's called. I've got it in the notes. Calmac, right. There's a lot of rubbish at the start about MPs discussing it. There's always MPs involved. Blah,
The
blah,
MV
blah.
Loch Seaforth.
Is that what it's called? There you go. Did you
Well, it
know?
says
Did you ken
it's
that all the time?
well, aye, obviously.
Okay,
It's
for this,
Calmac's largest miniature vessel, didn't you know?
it is indeed. It's the biggest and the
Also the
newest
newest.
one. The newest. And the thing, the guy is it. The thing's buggered. They're having to put it into maintenance all the time. And there's folk obviously stuck on the islands, out in whatever island, middle of nowhere.
The Western Isles.
The Western Isles, so it's middle of the Western Scotland, no nowhere.
I thought you were going to say the middle of Western nowhere there.
No, they're stuck on the island, and there's people on the mainland that want to go and see their family. There's businesses and shops and stuff on the Western Isles that need to get stuff, and they've not got the capacity. And basically, to bring it back to a serious point, their life depends, their connection depends on that ferry service. Other than chartering a plane or fucking swimming across, not even going to guess what ocean, but swimming across wherever, then they're essentially their lifeline is that. So to put it into perspective, imagine you're stuck in your house and you could see the co-op for the other street along. You can see it. You can see the co-op lights, but you can't get to it because there's no transportation.
Your ferry's
stuck.
broken.
Aye, basically you're stuck. And that's what's happened to these folk. And the stories all about MPs involved, and you get the usual fucking high profile bump about, oh, well, we want to do this and we want to promote blah blah bollocks. What you need
Uh,
to do is get the ferry fixed, surely.
a lot, but there's been a lot of issues regarding the ferries under the government in the last, probably about the last 10 years. In fairness, with under finance, I think the let's see if this is this the new one that they were building that 10 ages and uh, obviously clearly doesn't work.
I think
It's
so, but then a lot of the stories also that they're just no commissioning enough ferries to be built. Like their fleet's just getting older, and there's no enough money going into replacing the older fleet.
aye. That's been quite an issue, as I say, for about the last 10 years. It's probably been an underfunded area that the Scottish government's never um, really addressed. To be fair, and I ken obviously the big thing with the ferries is the company they gave the contract to. I think was a wee bit of a pal's bonus contract, and it's obviously turned out to be utter shite. I think it's end up air budget and doesn't work.
Well, that's basically it. So they're just fucking hopeless. Absolute morons running it. So somebody, the transport minister, what's his name, Mackay, is it? Oh, I
I
can't mind.
didn't actually look into it. Isn't the new reshuffle? There'll be probably a new transport minister now. So
All right enough. Oh, well, this story's fairly recently. Can't remember. You'd think I had read it and prepared beforehand. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
6Bs prior preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Well, the MSP for the Western Isles is Alistair Allen. And he says he's been inundated with messages from residents who have been hit by the loss of the ferry. No shit.
Well, I could, as you say, it's obviously the things opening
It's a
back up again. And
lifeline.
you're not getting tourists into the place that maybe can for the areas that have the tourism and that. Same with their exports and imports and that. I don't know.
It's Graham Day. He's become Transport Minister and he's very much prioritised these issues. Well, to Graham Day, I'd say, no, you fucking haven't. No, you haven't. Let's get this fixed.
Aye.
I can't. What are you doing?
I will. I'm no one for sticking up for them, but I will give him his due. He has just became the new transport minister, so maybe
Well, that's fair. I mean, we can't
give him
really
a wee
blame
bit of
him for
time.
the past. Yeah, we can't really blame him for the past, but it's so easy to come up with these lines. Oh, it's a priority. It's at the top of my agenda. Like, just save your time spouting all that pish on STV News
And
and go and
actually
just
start
fix the
doing
issue.
something with it. Aye.
Aye, shut up and get it fixed, essentially. And I don't know, part of the issue is maybe the company Calmac that's running it, are they a bit fucking hopeless? They didn't seem to get a good reputation. But certainly, we a new in the big boat that they can't run it. Is it a maintenance issue? I don't know, but it doesn't seem. No, that's not a difficult thing because it's obviously is difficult to run a ferry
Uh,
service, but there is other operators that seem
but
to manage it without all this fucking issues.
but this is another thing where can Calmac stay owned? So it's like we talked about with the fund.
Aye, well, maybe that's part of the issue. Maybe we need to privatise some of these services. Obdi hates that word privatise, but let's be honest. If it was privatised and it was a company in charge, like a private company in charge of maintaining profits, would the boat be
Mind
out of
you,
service for so long?
we gave the railways to Abellio. Remember, and that didn't turn out fucking that well.
Well, I mean, the name rhymes with bell end, so we just should have known with that.
Abellio, Bellend,
Aye,
did they rhyme?
Bellio. Well, it's the same, one and the same. Bellio, bell end, shite, Joby. It's similar. It's
Deary
just
me,
the same.
deary,
Yes.
deary, deary me.
So Calmac morons, they fucked it. We
Well,
fucked it, and these people are stuck.
and it's going to cost them quite a lot to properly get this fixed, I would imagine. Now, ken what
and
else
and
costs?
take forever.
Ken what else might cost a lot, Mark?
Seal clubs?
Potentially, aye. Uh, yeah, have you use Twitter occasionally?
Rarely. I'm not a big fan of Twitter. I have to be honest.
Has a tweet ever cost you money?
No, I didn't. I didn't think you could. I didn't think you can pay for Twitter. Is it? It's all free, is it? No.
Yeah, but you remember you could tweet offensive stuff and get fined for it.
We should really consider talking about putting this podcast out then, because we've offended quite a few people.
Potentially. But you remember the television show Embarrassing Bodies, mind when folk like you would go on and show, look here, look at
My arm's got a cock growing on it.
my,
Yes.
is this penis on my arm normal?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm too embarrassed to go to my own doctor, so let me come onto national television.
yes, the TV that we all apparently love. But the doctor for that show, Dr. Christian Jensen, you remember the fella I'm talking about?
He was a big, lanky, tall prick, was he no?
Aye, him.
Aye.
Uh, he put out a tweet and it has cost him £125,000.
What did he do? Did he post a picture of his cock or something?
Oh well, what he'd basically done was, you remember the DUP leader, former DUP leader, will be Arlene Foster.
Oh, yes. Yep.
He had apparently back in December 2019 put out a tweet, basically just saying that she was cheating on her husband. Now, how he knew this or decided to tweet this, God knows why. Um, so he was asked at the time by Arlene Foster's lawyer to remove it, but she didn't. He was basically obviously tell, well, if you didn't remove this, we're going to start legal proceedings. He didn't remove it. He eventually removed it later, but by that time they went, too late. And he's been obviously went through the courts, and he's been confirmed that he's having to pay. He's been sued for £125,000 in damages, basically for tweeting false allegations of an extramarital affair. So it's was it gross? What do you call it? Gross defamatory,
Oh,
whatever it is
couldn't
to
tell you.
refer to. Aye. So it's a grossly defamatory tweet, basically. Um, so aye, that's. I did like the. Obviously, they were talking about the because he's got a following apparently 300,000 followers, um, and what does it say? They tweeting the false allegations to his 300,000 followers, describing Mrs. Foster as the sanctity of marriage preaching woman. A lawyer replied, advising him to remove the total false allegation, and he replied, "LOL," and did not delete it for another 2 weeks. So, Arlene Foster's actually been married to her husband Brian for 25 years, um, and told the court how she had to discuss the issue with her children 2 days before Christmas. No, obviously the thing you want to be
Oh.
doing here Christmas, obviously, that's like a kind of get. So she added that she believed the publication of the baseless claims was deliberately timed to undermine her during critical negotiations on the restoration of the devolved government in Northern Ireland. Dr. Jensen claimed he was unaware the legal proceedings had reached such an advanced stage because he was suffering from mental ill health and had gone to live with his parents. Now, yet again, if you're suffering with mental ill health,
Oh,
I dig it why you're tweeting stuff about some. I'd even get what the actual connection is between Jensen, unless Jensen is this something saying I've actually been shagging her. I do get why he's tweeted it in the first
well,
time.
that's it.
But the judge said there was no medical evidence of any nature of substance to sort of substantiate that, and that he found
What
claim the
did they
doc.
check her fanny like for
No,
anybody
no
else's
about
presence?
no about him for his mental ill
Oh,
health.
oh, I see, I
And
see.
the
I thought they
doctor
were medically checking if she was cheating or no. Why
uh,
are we doing that?
and that uh, they found the claims that the doctor had not received legal documents to be wholly unsatisfactory and convincing. Because as I say, if you've he's basically just went to live with his mum and claimed he was suffering mental health issues at the time. So yeah, to state that
This does seem a bit mental.
a woman married for 25 and a half years and a mother of 3 children who is a committed Christian and who is recognised as such and who has publicly made statement extolling the sanctity of marriage as an adulterer, a hypocrite and a homophobe is most serious libel. Um, so the judge award at the DUP leader, or former well, I think she still is. She's out. She's got to be leaving. I don't know if she's left yet or no, but she's got £125,000 in damages. Dr. Jensen
Good for
said
her.
sorry, the lawyer had said that Dr. Jensen had been offered every opportunity to do the right thing for the outset, but had failed to do so. My client is grateful to the court for this total vindication, which hopefully will act as a watershed for all women in public life who have been subjected to similar attacks on social media. I
Let's
think
not go too far.
and another thing I seen was basically, which was probably quite on the ball for the lawyer as well, because the doctor did claim, says, well, when I got I found it strange that this action started for the lawyer commenting on the Twitter, on the tweet. So that's why he says, I just seen somebody saying, well, I'm going to take legal action against you. That's why I replied, LOL. And the lawyer went there, so, well, you'll not be laughing now.
Well, no, it's cost them that much.
But
But
that's my more on
it's
the week
bizarre.
nomination is him, because I really didn't get why he was tweeting that in the first place, and where
No.
I didn't get how would he can? I was
But it's not as if it's relevant to anything anyway. Like, it's not
Oh,
they were in a tweet war or whatever it's called when you Twitter fucking back and forward with somebody you've upset. But also, if it like I don't, for me, like if you're going to upset somebody, like go to your way to upset somebody on Twitter, maybe the DUP leaders know the best bit like that. Wouldn't they be the first person I would go for?
no, I did get it. Really.
Maybe he is suffering mental health. Maybe he's just a bit fucking, it's like bent in the heat.
Well,
Squint.
it could
Fucking, I don't know.
be. Thinking maybe there's an unseen embarrassing bodies episode that Arlene Foster's on or something. I do not know, but I really do get what the
Celebrity.
connection is.
I don't know. I reckon, but that's the thing with Twitter though. You didn't need a connection. You can just tweet at fucking anybody. I can go on and go fucking Boris Johnson ate my Snickers bar. Like there's nobody to stop me. I can say that. He could sue me, but I've not got 125 grand, so and I didn't have any Snickers bars either. I do like Snickers bars, would never buy them. So my story's fallen all right for the get go. But again, that's Twitter. It's full fucking knob jockeys. No for me. No for me. So that is your nomination for Moron of the Week. I can't even remember the stories we've talked about in the last 45 minutes. I think the Moron of the Week has got to be me for trying to for clubbing seals. Where did clubbing seals come from? For the Greens. We were talking about the Greens and then it tangented onto clubbing seals. I don't know. No, I think for all the stories we've had, I have to agree with you that he's no. To be fair, I've never really watched a lot of Embarrassing Bodies, but he comes across as a bit of a fucking knobhead anyway. He's a bit fucking.
I
He's a
admit
bit fucking.
it's not a show I've ever watched.
I've seen a couple of episodes. I think it's on 4Music or whatever channel it is late at night if there's nothing else on.
I thought you were more into Naked Attraction.
I do like a bit of Naked Attraction. Depends on the episode. I think there's a bias on Naked Attraction because the naked people you always see, it's always a woman looking for a guy or a guy looking for all guys. There's never an episode where there's just boobs everywhere. So there's definitely a bias. There is a penis bias on Naked Attraction. I've had this in the show notes, I think, since episode 1 to talk about this, and it's just never came up. But if you go back and watch it, Naked Attraction for the start, and I have watched in detail, fast forward and past all the willies, there is a definite bias towards the penis. There is very little boobs to be seen. But that's not even the point that I was making about the program in general. The point about it in general is it's what a fucking stupid idea. You've like so. This wasn't for this show, but since you brought it up, you go through this whole episode. They're all naked, and then at the end, of it, your prize is you get to put your clothes back on and then go for a meal with them. If I've went through all this effort and then we're both naked, I'm not wanting to go for a meal. Certainly not with my clothes on. We could go for a meal or can order a pizza in or something. But if I'm naked, well, I don't know. Got a wee bit of expectation there. Would you know agree?
I was going to say, if you're going back, it's gone back to last week's show with the stirring the tea with a penis. We'll have a meal while we're naked.
Ah, well, just a warm up sort of thing. But I've never understood that. And you can tell it never works because they bring them back at the end and go, oh, well, where are you now? And they're like, well, we're miles apart. We do see each other, we do talk. Or some of them come on and go, well, I didn't want a long distance relationship. Why did you come on this programme from Amsterdam to fucking see the tits of folk from fucking Bristol? It makes no sense. Programme's fucking mental. But I still watch it anytime it's on because there might be boobs.
Aye, you say that, but you're really watching it for the penis.
No. Because I could just look fucking doon for that. No. Right.
On your earn, as we clarified earlier.
Oh, I think at this level of insanity, I think it's time to wrap up. I think we're in consensus that the moron of the week is the Walliper Doctor for embarrassing bodies for tweeting something fucking pointless to the leader of the DUP who he has no connection with, or as far as we're aware, she's never done anything to upset him. Completely baffling, no logic, defies logic completely. So he is our moron of the week. We're back to agreeing on things again. We didn't have the results for the poll because as we record this, we've not actually put the episode out for last week when there was a poll.
To be fair, we only finished recording that about an hour ago.
So what to do is, if you want to ken the result from last week's poll for who you agreed with for moron of the week, go onto our Facebook page and you'll see the poll there. If you haven't already voted, you could vote for it, and you'll be able to see the result on last week's moron of the week. But there is no vote this week because we're in agreement. Moron of the week is the Walliper Knob-End Doctor from Embarrassing Bodies. And I think we've both, well, probably mainly me, but we've certainly, for the podcast as a whole, had enough libel in the day's episode and enough offensive stuff. We should say we're both animal lovers and wouldn't club a seal, purely for comedy purposes and for research for Lincoln Stories, I think, was what brought up that. None of us have ever clubbed a seal. I wouldn't even ken where you found a seal.
The only person I've ever heard say club seals was Sean Locke.
Oh, he's quite funny.
He said he went seal. He said there was they hadn't seen anything quite like it. He had hammers and both hands, and he was clubbing two at once. It was amazing.
Oh god! And I'm sure he got a lot of fucking press and the Greenpeace and fucking all the animal rights groups hassling him as well. And it's clearly made up for comedy effect. We should say anybody that's listened to this through it and went, "Oh well, I am offended and I'm going to write to my local MP." Please don't bother. Your MP doesn't give a fuck about Moron Rants podcast. And it's clearly for comedy purposes. We are no club in seals. There's a video episode of this recording if you're listening to our audio that you can go and check on our website, moronrants.com, or Facebook or YouTube. We're on all these platforms. And you watch the video and you can see throughout there are no seals clubbed. No animals have been hurt in the process. The only thing hurt in the process of doing this is my fucking awakeness. Because what is left of my brain. And Deezy's ears for listening to my yabbering on.
Anyway, what I was going to say, next week's episode, you could join us while we're clubbing seals.
Oh dear. I thought you were just going to wrap up the episode. I normally wrap it up, but I will leave it to you and your hands.
No.
To wrap us up.
You're the host. You're the hostess with the mostest.
Well, I'm trying to go on a diet. I'm getting there. No particularly, but well, I think at this point in the podcast, we've overrun the hour mark, so we will not keep you listening any longer. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. We hope we have given you some laughs and no reason to complain, because the whole point of this podcast is to point out the fact that we're just moaning about things that really are insignificant most of the time, things that have already happened, and we just try to see the lighter side of things. We're no about dour and depressing, although that might come across because I'm dour and fucking depressing. But we're here to try and uplift and put a funny spin on some stories. So we do hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you listen to our next episode, which we will be recording hopefully soon. It'll no matter, they come out every Friday morning, 9 o'clock. So on that note, I have yabbered on far too long already. So have a good night. That's all from me, and it's all from these.
Goodbye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking our Facebook page or subscribing to our YouTube channel. All previous episodes, including links to everything else we do, are available on our website moreonrants.com. If you have a chance, please leave us some feedback or give us a review. Thanks very much, we appreciate you listening.